Well, if you are interested in joining me in the invocation, please do so. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to come to you in prayer, and we just ask that you would be with us during this meeting tonight. And as we proceed through this new year coming up, help us to make the right decisions for the city, and help us all to be able to discuss what needs to be discussed and make decisions that are the best. We pray this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. And now at 7 p.m., I call the meeting to order and ask you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Shirley, would you take the roll call, please?
Mayor Hammond?
Here. Me.
We're starting now.
Larry Lambert?
Here.
Mike Connell?
Here.
Jeff Fuller? Bob Porter?
Here.
Keena Dunn? Here. Jacob Hopper?
Here.
Thank you. I'm so excited. Looking now for approval of the agenda.
I move that the agenda be adopted as printed.
We have a motion from Mike, seconded by Bob. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Looking now for approval of the minutes of the previous meeting.
I move that we suspend the rules, waive the reading, and approve the minutes from the December 7th, 2023 regular council meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mike? We have a motion from Larry, second from Mike. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. That brings us directly to the Christmas lighting contest winners. Larry, I'm going to turn that over to you.
Okay, thank you, Sue. First off, before I start with any awards, I'd like to just thank everybody in the city that participated and had their lights on that night. It was a beautiful night to be driving around with. We got lots and lots of lights to look at. The list of honorable mentions is far too great to begin to talk about this evening, but we will be recognizing 5 places here in the next couple minutes. Our judges were representatives from last year's winners, as well as my wife Linda and myself and Jacob Puffer from council, and also had a local resident ride around with my wife and I that evening. So with that, I'd like to recognize, we're going to start with 5th place and work up to 1st. The Conleys at 719 Starlight Way. We have anyone representing, the Coolies.
There we go.
Learned to read correctly.
Thank you.
Larry. And by the way, I did note last year you were probably in the house relatively new and you had some lights out, but this year you really stepped things up if that was your house.
No, actually, we've been in that community for 8 years. We were one of the first houses.
Oh, were you really?
Yeah.
You must, we didn't recognize the lighting before.
Yeah.
So, okay, in any case, it was beautiful.
Thank you.
you.
Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah.
In 4th place at 322 Lamb Street, we have the Kittles. I believe I saw Rob here. Congratulations once again, outstanding display.
It gets bigger.
It does.
In 3rd place at 362 Green Street, do we have anyone here representing the Deans this evening? Okay, we'll make certain that they get their award. In 2nd place at 375 North Clearwater, the Bonards. Is anyone here representing Josh or Lindsay this evening? They were the 2nd place winners this year. And in 1st place at 620 North Watkins, I know that Scott Johnson and his daughter are here this evening.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Oh. Behind the poster here, say it.
There we go.
Smiling. Thank you.
Haven't had a chance to look at some of these places, try to get around. They got
Oh, yeah.
everyone did an outstanding job once again this year. So thanks to all those that participated and recognition to the winners. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Larry. That was very nice, and thank you for being in charge of that again. Do we have anyone, oh, Amy. Amy Gunther's here, and she is going to give us a report regarding the food bank.
Food bank. My name is Amy Gunther. I'm the new president of the food bank. I don't know all of you. I'm sorry. I will get to know you. Sorry to get on the agenda, but I went in and told Shirley a couple short things today and realized I may as well just tell all of you. I'm going to tell you an operational change we're making, and then I'll tell you why. So the operational change is that currently, for years, I've been volunteering for about 5 years. We have this system where one volunteer takes a week, and that volunteer checks all those phone messages that you folks know we get, and calls those people back and makes appointments for every single individual throughout that volunteer's week. The change is that instead of having a volunteer have a whole week, we're going to have distribution days. So Tuesday afternoons and Thursday evenings will be the distribution days, at least that's what we're going to start with. And there will be 2 people there, staffing, volunteering. We're all volunteers. I have gotten that question lately as I tell people I'm running the food bank. They think I get paid. I want to make sure nobody there gets paid. All the money buys food. So we'll have 2 volunteers there on these distribution days doing orders back to back to back. And it will still be by appointment. So that's what I wanted Shirley and the nice folks upstairs to know. If they get calls, don't tell people that we're open those times. We won't be equipped to do walk-ins. It will still be by appointment. We're just going to make all of those appointments during those 2 time slots. Now, the reason is because we're busier than we've ever been. Do you guys like spreadsheets? Do you want me to pass these around?
Sure.
Okay. You can,
If you have.
yeah, you can throw them away at the end, Shirley. So,
They're all the same.
no, they're different.
Yeah.
You don't have to stare at them for a long time, you just see it goes up. So I've been crunching numbers since I took over because I could feel and tell, it was obvious that we're getting busier, but when you see numbers and you have data, I'm a data person. So when I started 5 years ago, we would, like they said, oh, here's what it's like to volunteer. You have maybe 4 or 5 orders a week. 7 would be a busy week if you did 7 appointments, 7 orders. Lately, in the past 8 weeks especially, we've been doing 12, 13, 14, 15 orders per week. This week is looking slower, but I think maybe it's because a big holiday is right around the corner. But as you can look, that trend has been going up for like the last several months, and really you can say the last couple of years, but it's really, and as I watch the news, because now I pay attention to food banks in the news, I'm seeing it all over the place. All the food bank directors are saying the same thing, that the last 8 weeks is just skyrocketing. I don't know why, we can talk about that some other time if you're interested. But because we're busier than ever doing that many orders, even though 15 doesn't sound like a lot, when one person has to do all of those, plus have their job, or take care of their kids, or elderly parent, whatever they all do, they have important lives or volunteers, that's too much. So we're just gonna do this change so that we can serve more people more efficiently and make really good use of volunteer time. So that's the reason, it's just we're busier than we've ever been. And also, just about every food bank in the county does it that way, by having distribution days. So we're not doing anything weird or unusual. Other perks, I think it'll make a much better use of donations. We have a lot of fresh bread that comes in on Mondays and Tuesday mornings, and I would like to give that away while it's still fresh. And we don't have room in our freezers to freeze everything as much. So a Tuesday afternoon is great because we can have a lot of people getting fresh bread instead of frozen bread. It'll be easier to plan ahead. I have volunteers now who are shopping for like the milk and the eggs and the apples, and we call that the fresh food. And so it's easier to know how many people are gonna come. They're gonna come on these days, and so we can have that on hand instead of guessing when to get it. And we don't want things to go, expired. Like milk only lasts so long. The work will be easier because the volunteers will be working in teams of 2s or 3s instead of alone, so it should be easier work, more efficient. And a big one for me is that it keeps them safer instead of a volunteer being here alone, and especially on these dark nights. I don't like being here alone, although you guys see me here all the time, but I don't want to make other people be here alone. That's even more important to me than my own safety, is being responsible in a sense for theirs. So they're going to be together. So one of our council members will be the lead volunteer, and because our council members are the ones with keys, and we've been here for a long time. But it also offers, this new system offers an opportunity for the community to help. So one of our council members will be the lead, running the show, and packing orders and all of that. But then there'll be another person that I'm calling a helper volunteer, and that could be their husband. Like for me, I would bring my teenage children. They would be the helpers. It offers opportunities for people in the community to help. For now, that's invitation only, just because of the nature of our work and confidentiality and stuff. But there's people who have offered to help us, but they don't want all the responsibilities of coming to meetings and having a key. And I also am uncomfortable with giving a key to everyone who wants to volunteer. And I think you guys agree with that too. So just for now, the current volunteers will keep the keys, but we'll have other people coming and helping on those days. I did apply, just on a side note, I applied for a grant from Home Depot for a refrigerator, a big refrigerator, 54-inch, double wide, and then we would get rid of that one in there because, again, we need more room for milk. The milk really takes up most of that fridge, and we have so many orders, we can't fit enough milk and eggs and that stuff in the fridge anymore. So let's hope that Home Depot gives me a $3,000 fridge. On that note, we need more room in the food bank. So this week I moved some furniture around, and we discussed this. Your file cabinet that you wanted dibs on is in the hallway. And one of these kind of like desks that we no longer need is in the hallway. So it's yours. Obviously, I'm sure it was yours
You
in the
don't
first
need it
place.
anymore, okay.
We don't have room, even if
Yeah.
we did, we don't have room. So, so I'm kind of restructuring little things so that we don't need it. And we might switch out some shelving. There's a big wooden shelf in there. We might not need that anymore as I get in bigger, sturdier shelves. And one thing I've been doing and also we're doing orders every month. That is on the website, actually. It was on the website that we do orders every month, so we're going to continue that. I want to honor what's on our website. And also, people need the help. I think people in our community are really struggling right now. That's what those graphs, like we can talk about graphs and numbers and analyze them, but in the end, what does it mean? Those graphs mean that people are struggling in our community. And not just the city of Perry, I'm just talking to the city of Perry Council, but you know, we serve Perry, Morris, Shasburg School District. So, and it's heavy on my heart, and I know it's heavy on your heart, and I guess I'm also here kind of just to give you a heads up that our community needs help, and to keep our eyes and ears open for ways to help them. I think that the food bank is going to be a food bank and be really good at being a food bank, and that's a big job all by itself. But I encourage others to seek out other help or to start other organizations because people need help beyond food too. Along those lines, I started a resource guide. These are food and utility resources for people who live in the city of Perry. Our service area, like Perry Morris School District. Am I taking too long? Is this okay? I'm almost done.
That's fine.
And so we're giving this to every client every time. I want them to know where else they can get food throughout the month, because for some people, once a month is not enough either when they're in a pickle. So, and also utility help, how to get rides from STATA, other resources. And if people are not familiar with 211, it's a fantastic resource from the state of Michigan with lots of resources, like we are listed on 211. And finally, I just want to say, you asked if I'm enjoying it. I am loving doing this work.
Well, we really appreciate you doing it and all of your volunteers.
I appreciate our community. The best part has been getting to know the community and all the people who are giving to the food bank. A lot of people don't know we run on money more than stuff. Sure. We appreciate stuff donations because that literally saves us money. But I was going to mention them, but I'm out of time. But our community is very generous, and I hope that they can keep it up because there's a need, and people need help. So it's a pleasure to help them, of course.
Where would people send a donation, just so it's on camera and
Oh.
people can see that?
P.O. Box 783, Perry, Michigan 48872.
And then make their check payable too.
They can make it payable to Perry Food Bank now. We have filed a DBA with the county, so.
Okay.
Yep.
There
Thank
you
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is anyone here for public comment? Hearing none, we'll move into communications. Shirley, do you have any communications for us?
I handed out Kevin's Lagoon paperwork to Mike and to Jacob, personal committee. Also handed out quotes, 3 quotes for this CAPS grant that we're going to discuss tonight. It's item number 3 on the agenda. And then the audit for Megan, and that's it.
Okay. The information that was Kevin's regarding the lagoon was a class that you took and you had a test that you had to take and you passed.
It was a state licensing exam to be able to operate our lagoon system here in the city of Perry.
Very good.
So I'm now a licensed sewer operator and can
Good.
operate our system here.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Nice job.
Thank you for doing that. That was the last step in my being able to keep my employment here. I had to get it in a reasonable amount of time, and you had to have a year's experience to write the exam, so I fulfilled that obligation, so hopefully you all will keep me here doing what I do.
The personnel committee will evaluate that and let you know.
Okay.
Right, Mike?
That's right.
Okay. And moving on then to mayor reports. I just wanted to, first of all, thank everybody that participated in the Christmas Fantasy. It went very well. It was well attended. Thanks to Bob Porter for using his big voice and
You're welcome.
filling in for my no voice. But it was a great, Megan and Shirley and Lindsay, I think, worked on everything and it just went very smooth, so thank you. I also wanted to let you know that the antique truck did sell in the auction with XYZ, and there were 112 bids submitted on that truck. The sale price was $4,150, and the $2 listing fee will be taken out of that. And as per the resolution from our last meeting, Megan will deposit the money in the disaster relief fund when it's received, which should be a couple
It's gonna
days.
go out tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Do we know if anyone locally purchased it, or?
I don't know who purchased it. I don't know if we can know. Did you ask today?
You sign up under, not
Yeah.
your name, if you
Okay,
want.
I just, there's a lot of community
I
talk
could
about
probably
Yes.
finagle it out of him.
Do you know Bob?
I don't, but I could probably
He's
finagle it
a
out.
friend of
Okay.
Robert's, so, yeah.
I'll ask,
See if you can
and
figure-
see if I can get it out. He might not be able to tell me who, but he might be able to tell me where it went.
Okay,
That's good.
that's great, thank you.
it. Cool.
Moving then on to committee reports. Do we have any committee reports tonight? Hearing none, we will move on to presentation and approval of the bills.
I move that we approve the bills as presented from December 7th, 2023 regular council meeting and payment be authorized.
Second.
We have a motion from Bob, second by Mike. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Megan, are we ready for our Zoom call yet, or no? Okay, we will keep moving on then. Our audit report will be by Zoom tonight, and they're planning to join us at 7:30, so we'll move into old business. We have none. The first item on new business is mayor appointments, and there's several things. The pension committee needs 2 people. One needs to be a council member, Mindy was on that committee. And now with her resignation, that's an open seat. And then we also have an opening there for a local business owner. And I have not found a local business owner yet, but I will work on that some more and see if we can get somebody. But as far as a council member, if somebody would volunteer for that, we could appoint and take care of that approval here tonight. Is anybody here willing to do that, I hope? Because it has to be a council member. They don't meet often. As a matter of fact, they met once just before I became mayor, because I happened to go to that meeting just to see how that went, and they haven't met since. So, I mean, it's not a frequently met.
If you have me, I'll make it.
Okay. Yes, thank you, Larry. Okay, so first of all, we'll go right down the list here. Jane DeLue, who has served on the Board of Review for quite some time, is willing to continue to do so. So I am reappointing her, looking to the board to approve that reappointment for a term expiring January 31st, 2027.
I move that we reappoint Jane DeLue to the Board of Review for a term expiring on January 31st, 2027.
Second.
We have a motion from Jake, seconded by Larry. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. James Shaw has served on the SADA board, or the SCOA board, Shiawassee Council on Aging, for quite some time, but I had conversation with him. He's willing to continue to do that. So appointing him to a new term expiring January 2025. Looking for a motion to approve that appointment.
I move that we reappoint James Shaw to the Shiawassee Council on Aging for a term expiring January 1st, 2025.
Second.
Motion from Mike, seconded by Bob. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. The Local Officers Compensation Commission, which meets every other year in the odd numbered years. We used to have Greg Weck work on that committee, but when I spoke with him, he's having some health issues and declined continuing to serve. So I called Billy Roback and desperately pleaded for him, and he agreed to serve. So I am appointing Billy Roback to the Local Officers Compensation Commission, replacing Greg Weckworth. And we do council thanks Greg for his service to the commission. Looking for a motion approving that appointment.
I move that we appoint Billy Roebuck to the Local Officers Compensation Committee for a term expiring October 2028.
Second.
Motion from Bob, seconded by Mike, to appoint Billy Roback. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. And Shirley, do you want to go ahead and swear Billy in since he's here and you're here? We're good. Maybe Megan could catch a picture of that.
All right, so I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United
the
States,
Constitution of the State of Michigan,
the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
the Charter and ordinances
the Charter and
of the
ordinances
City of Perry,
of the City of Perry,
and that I will faithfully perform the duties
and that I will faithfully perform the duties
of the office
of the office
of the local
Officers
Compensation Commission
Compensation Commission
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Okay, that went pretty smooth.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now we have Larry Lambert, who has volunteered to serve on the pension committee. And I'm looking to appoint him to that and looking for council to approve that appointment.
I move that we approve Councilmember Larry Lambert to serve on the Pension Committee.
Second.
We have a motion from Jake, seconded by Bob. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those
Oh,
opposed,
wait,
nay.
that other paper's mine.
Motion passes.
I'll come on and copy that.
So now we're almost to 7:30 and right on time.
Meeting's going a little quicker.
Sue and Shirley,
We have a double
they
one,
want
so-
to.
Yeah.
Yep, we'll move.
And then we will need. Oh, sorry, this should be. Why is it so dark?
Turn the lights off.
Why is that dark?
There's a,
Oh, it's
it's a warm
It's
up.
coming up, okay.
We're just adjusting the time.
Luke, can you hear us?
Yes.
Perfect. I have your screen projected on the wall behind council. We'll let you take it away. Council members, you have a copy of the draft audit in front of you. I apologize that you're just seeing it now. I'm also just seeing it now. So Luke will walk us through whatever he needs to walk us through. And if you have any questions, you can direct them to Luke while he's with us.
Absolutely. Thank you. As Megan said, this is Luke Downing from Clark Schaefer Hackett. I am the shareholder in charge of the audit. I guess I can't quite see what you guys are seeing necessarily.
We see you.
Is it, let's see, will it work if I share my screen so I can kind of work through it?
Yeah.
Can you guys see that?
That's right.
Yeah, the first page we see on the screen right now is the independent auditor's report, and
Okay.
so we're good.
Perfect, all right. I will go through this, and as you guys have questions, just let me know. This is, again, the independent auditor's report. This is kind of the, what, every audit has to have this. It just kind of wraps up everything in the audit report itself. Starts with the opinion paragraph. We have audited the accompanying financial statements of governmental activities, the business type activities, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining fund information for the city of Perry as of and for the year ended June 30th, 2023. In our opinion, the audit report referred to above presents fairly in all material respects the financial position of the city of Perry as of June 30th, 2023. So what that is an unmodified opinion. That means everything here is presented according to GASB and GAAP with no material differences. So the best opinion you can have, and that's what you're looking to have. No modifications or anything like that to the report. So the rest is kind of just, every audit that's unmodified kind of has the same wordings all throughout. So it's just kind of boilerplate information. You do have required supplementary information, as all local government do, for the schedule of, or budgetary comparison schedules, and then you guys have the OPEB information in the back that's required as well. After page 2, 3 through 6 or 7 is management's discussion and analysis. This is a required part of the financial statement. Just gives a little recap from prior year to current year information. We can see that kind of more in a table here. The normal financials don't present 2 years, they just have the single year, so it's nice to have a little comparison to prior year. So this gives you June 30th, 2023 versus June 30th, 2022. And you'll see total net position has increased in the governmental activities by about 200,000. Sorry. And then you'll see business tech activities went up about 300,000 as well. So you're up just over 500,000 in total net position for the year between all the funds. This is the basically the income statement comparison from one year to the next. And that's where you'll see 226,000 here increase, a 302,000 in the business type activities increase, for a total of just over 500,000. major capital asset additions in the prior year. I think the major one was the water tower project, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. But this year, I think you purchased one large piece of equipment and then just some smaller stuff throughout there. You paid off some debt, so that was good. Some bonds that have been on the books, I think since the 80s are officially paid off over the last year. So 2 payments down, I think only 4 more to go. So we're trending in the right direction there. And this is just the current year activities. We kind of went over this on the comparison, but statement of net position, the governmental activities, that's your general fund, your street, your major local street fund, drug enforcement fund, and then your internal service funds are wrapped in there. The business type activities are the water and sewer fund. So you'll see total net position, 2.4 million almost for the governmental activities, and just under 3.2 million for your enterprise funds, your business type activities. So that means your assets minus your liabilities are all positive. We did see a big decrease in the OPEB liability this year because you officially put in years past, you had money set aside for your OPEB, but it was in a CD, so it didn't technically reduce the OPEB liability, where this year you did contribute that to the OPEB fund, so that did reduce the liability quite a bit this year, so you did see a big decrease in that across the board. But outside of that, there was, it was pretty consistent year. I think the big cost savings was, last year you had the water tower project for about $200,000, $220,000, I think, if you finish it up at the beginning of this year, so you didn't have that expense. And then you got some ARPA funds that you spent this year related to payroll. So that helped offset some of the wage costs this year, and I know you'll have some additional ones going forward on that as you have some deferred revenue. But outside of that, everything looked pretty good. Anyone have any questions on the financial statements as a whole? Anything I can answer?
We're here, Luke. We're just looking this over because we just got it, so give
Yeah,
us,
no problem.
give us a second.
And I apologize about that. I know Megan said that was not on Megan. That was completely on me and my team. So I apologize about the lateness of receiving that report. But as you guys look over it, if you look over the next couple of days, I'm always more than willing to jump on a call or answer any questions that you have that may come up.
Megan, did you see anything that caught your eye in this? I know you've maybe had a little bit longer than we have.
No, I didn't have any concerns.
Well, we'll just take another minute or so here and look this over if you don't mind. Did we use them? Council, if any of you have questions for Luke or comments, please just speak up, feel free.
Apparently I lost you guys,
We're back.
all right.
I've invited council to raise any questions they might have. So far, I've not heard anyone declare any questions, but if I understood you correctly, as we've had time to look this over, maybe in the next couple of weeks, we could always reach out at a later date.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I'm more than happy to at any time. If you guys have questions, let me know. I know next year we'll hopefully present at the October and November meetings.
That'd be great.
Give it a little bit more advanced,
Thank you.
advanced to review it. The only major thing, I did have one other letter for the comment. There was the material weakness noted for material journal entries of financial statements. So we're working in the right direction on those, but we did have to post some reversing entries to get everything completed. OPEB and depreciation, as well as reverse prepaids and accrued wages. So we did have that comment in there again. But then as far as the prior recommendations, we did have 2 out of the 3 of those implemented. For journal entries and bank reconciliations were implemented. The reconciliation of the accounts receivable for the water, sewer, and trash is not routinely reconciled to the general ledger. So that was the only one that was not implemented yet. We didn't find a large difference in that or material difference in that, but it's just kind of a good habit to get into. Even if it's quarterly, it's at least sometimes a couple times throughout the year. We would recommend doing that.
Shirley and Megan, are you in agreement with that? I mean, are you working toward being able to do that?
Yeah, I think that was something that was noted prior to my arrival. I think it's been ongoing for a couple of years.
Oh,
That's
okay.
my understanding. So as I've wrapped my head around everything else, I just haven't that one item yet.
Okay.
But I have corrected a few of the other items that used to be referenced as needing adjustments.
Okay. So we're working on it, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Alrighty, well, if there's no other questions, like I said, I'm more than willing to jump on a call at any other time to discuss anything. I think everything went fairly well. There was a little delay in but it wasn't super late, so not a big deal on that. But I appreciate Megan and the staff, helping with everything. I know it's not exactly fun, and the auditors can be very annoying, asking all kinds of questions and being needy and things. So we appreciate all the work of the city staff to get us what we need to complete it, and we appreciate you allowing Clark Schaefer Hackett to be your auditors. And as always, Megan knows and the mayor knows that you can always reach out throughout the year with any accounting questions that arise, and we're always around and more than willing to help in any way we can.
Luke, just so you know, I think we have about 3 new council members that haven't experienced our audit yet. Can you just run through real quick what the next steps are now that you've finalized the audit, what we have to do? Because I think we have a December 31st deadline for filing our F-65. Is that still correct, or will we have to file an extension?
Yeah, no, December 31st is the F-65 due date. So from here, as long as I'll give Megan
a day or so to look over both the journal entries and look over the report just to make sure there's nothing that she sees in there that needs changed. And then once she gives me the go-ahead, I will send, we just have a few last questions that are always completed at the end of the audit before we can finalize. So I'll send those once I get the go-ahead. And then we'll finalize, get the final audit report. I submit the, what's called the APR to the state, which is at the same time as submitting the audit. And then I believe Megan does the F-65. Am I right on that one?
No, I think you guys have always done the F-65.
Oh, I have, okay. Well, I do, oh, that's right, you do the Act 51 on that one. So Act 51 is due at the same time, but so I'll get the F-65 and the APR submitted by December 31st to the state, and then that will officially wrap up the audit for June 30th, 2023. Everything will be done and filed timely according to the state.
Luke, this is the mayor, and I do have a comment on that. Tomorrow is the last day that Megan will be working, or anyone in the office will be working, until Wednesday.
Okay.
And then we just have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and we're past the 31st. So Megan and I talked about this. I think, just to be on the safe side, we do need to file an extension. And because it's not our fault that this is so late in the year, if there's a fee related to that extension, I would expect your company to pay that.
I don't know that we need an extension, I just want to make sure we're getting it.
I just don't
As long
want
as it's comfortable.
Yeah, I don't want it to be late.
No, it will not be late. We will get it finalized. I can literally just have everything in, ready to go. You said you guys are in Wednesday, Thursday, Friday?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's no problem. I mean, the last ones are just simple questions. Make sure you don't have any lawsuits outstanding that have come up since we were out for the audit, or any major events, that have come up since we were out for the audit. I will put in the F-65 and the APR before next Wednesday, and we'll finalize, and it'll be submitted on time.
Megan, are you comfortable with that?
No need for an extension.
Okay, all right. I guess we're good to go.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, I will make sure that we file timely, and that's good to go, so.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, and I think we're set, unless you have something else.
I'm all set. I appreciate it, and everyone have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and Happy Holidays.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Liz.
Yep, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Is any tornado expenses we've incurred since June, or is that going to impact the,
Doesn't change this.
okay.
Yeah, it
This is
doesn't
all
change this, because the
Yeah.
tornado was August 11th.
Yeah.
Right,
so
right.
It's all going to be,
So they were here the day after the tornado
Yeah.
doing their field work.
yeah, right.
That was fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, I apologize, you guys are just seeing this day. I am also
Well, it's
seeing
not
this
your-
today, and
What, 24? What, 20 minutes to 4? 3:40.
What is the deadline for them to get this to us?
There's never been a deadline, it's just that it has to be filed by the 31st, and I feel like it keeps getting pushed back a little further, wording change. It was, I would say the same time last year we were approving it, it was the second meeting of August,
It
our
was.
second meeting
Yeah.
of December last year too. And as Luke mentioned, we've had conversations that we'll be seeing us in October, November next year.
Okay, do we put that in a contingency, a contract?
It's never been, and so I guess I don't know. We'll have to look at the contract that we have with them. Can we pull that out and look at it?
Yep, and
So
I
we
think
don't
the
forget.
contract, we had a 3-year contract with them. To be honest, I'm not interested in shopping out. We've priced out and we've shopped out, and this is only my second audit in my life. And they are just so familiar with what we are and how we do our things. And right now, while I'm frustrated with the timeframe, I'm really happy with the work.
Yeah.
The relationship is amazing.
They don't ask us a lot of questions. They don't
They-
ask
because
us
they
for
know,
a lot because
yeah,
they
they
have
know
a lot
the-
of whatever
this
their
background.
experience.
So I feel like I saw some estimates upstairs, and they're probably maybe 5, 10 years old now. We paid out $13,000 a year. This audit, one of the quotes from a different firm was like $25,000, $30,000. And that's just not in budget.
Yeah, and it certainly is beneficial to stay with a company that has all that firsthand knowledge, so they don't have to research to the tune of thousands of dollars to get to where we're at right now. But if you would pull the contract out, so we can look at it next week.
And it's also a learning curve for me, like with the adjustments he has to make, the material adjustment he mentioned, it's because they're making some adjusting entries at the end of the year on my behalf for things that, looking at prior notes of this is what has to be done at year end, and me understanding someone else's brain, and
Yeah, it's a lot.
so they seem not overly concerned, it just has to be with it. And there were way less this year, way less. Way less questions from the auditors after they left for field work. I don't think I heard from them but once. And the year prior, it was like, hey, we need this now, we need this now, we need this now.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not saying they're not good. I'm just agreeing with Jacob that maybe we need to look at that, because if there's not a date there that's part of the contract, maybe we need to do an addendum. Because he said both years in a row, and it hasn't happened, so maybe if there's a penalty of some kind attached to it coming later than November 15th, then maybe that would motivate them.
Sure.
So looking now for council's audit approval.
Move that we accept the 2022-2023 city audit presented by Luke Downing, CPA, from Clark Schaefer Hackett.
Second.
We have a motion from Larry, seconded by Mike. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Moving ahead then to a discussion regarding our security upgrade portion of our COPS grant. You have in your packet 3 proposals that are going to be addressed by Kevin.
So since our funds have been released, we had some projects slated to move forward with those funds. Unfortunately, they went out for the original bids and got a number a couple years ago, before the inflation went rampant. And they budgeted above the number that they had gotten quotes for back then. It took us so long to file the paperwork, get the approval process done, and be able to spend the money that inflation has taken over, and all of the quotes that we have now are way over budget, like double. So I want to have a discussion with council to see how to move forward. We can go out for request bids from new companies. Maybe somebody wants to be more competitive or has options for us that will fulfill our needs with the money that we have. We could also piece it out and pay for portions of it that we can afford. We can figure out what the priorities are, what facilities we want to have card access to, and not pay for the whole project that we have quoted. We could just spend up to the amount that we have in the COPS grant for the security budget. The mayor and I talked a little bit about it. So these 3 companies, they've kind of been in touch with the city since the initial start of getting the original quotes, and we've resolicited the quotes several times. Now that we're able to go ahead with the work, it's, like I said, the price has gone up double.
Megan, could you remind us how much of this COPS grant was allocated for the security upgrade?
Low 40s,
Yeah, it was
43.
43,500, I think, is what we had in there.
How much for the generator?
86-ish.
And what did we spend on the generator? I forget.
We were like $2,000 over on the generator, over budget, but we felt like moving forward with that project, the cost versus benefit was there for that.
Right.
For this card access, we looked at upgrading security for this building, the DPW garage, the water treatment plant, and both of the bathroom pavilion, or the bathrooms, the pavilion here was gonna get upgraded, which we could incorporate that into the new build when it's time to do so, with these funds, because we're gonna build in the spring and the funds will still be available. So if we want to choose that as part of our project, with these current prices that we have, we could be able to do that. Typically, it's hard to cut out one or part of this project, is my opinion, because we need these security upgrades in all our facilities. So I'll have to do some assessments on what I think would be priority if we choose to piece it out and just do a portion of it, and then look at ways to fund the rest of it later. Seeking alternate bids through other companies, like I said, is an option that we can look at doing. I could find 3 new companies that do this type of work and get 3 new quotes and see if, you know, if ballpark, if that would benefit us in any way.
I wonder if there's any feeling that the cost of living has come down or is coming down, the employment stable. I mean, my point, I guess, is, do we think that costs might come down a little bit if we wait 3 months or so before we start getting new bids?
The trend seems to be going that way a little bit. You know, as gas prices come down, typically we get some relief on some other items. We could just put a pause on it and wait a while and then solicit new bids, either with these companies, new companies, a combination of pick the best one of these and then get 2 more, however we choose to move forward. I can do the legwork, that's not a problem. I can have people come. We did walkthroughs before, and had the meetings, and so that it's quite an extensive process because they have to look at all aspects of the building, how to run the wires, the types of materials that they have to use for the access, how we monitor that system, all of those things, and then to have it at multiple locations. The sites have to talk to each other so it's visible, you know. So if we do like time locks on the bathrooms, it has to be able to communicate and do all that stuff. So it's a large project.
It is.
And
Megan, how long do we have to spend this money or lose it? Do you know?
It's September, somewhere between September and December of 24, I believe.
Okay.
Maybe 25. I don't know.
Kevin, can you forgive me, but can you give me like a high-level overview? Because I was obviously here after the fact. But
Sure.
what exactly did each proposal, what is the end goal for the security portion of the COPS grant?
So we just wanted to upgrade the facilities that we have keys at now, so that if an employee comes and then they quit, we don't have to worry about getting their keys back. We can just turn their card access off. We weren't looking to do like an online-based system with the fees, and the one quote has $400 a month fees, because you can access it online, you can see who's doing what when, and I think that's a little extravagant for what we're trying to do. We're just trying to see who cards in when, if they were here, you know, just keep track of things. It's a good idea in government to have the ability to check on things from time to time if you have questions about things. Employee behaviors, stuff like that. I'm not saying that we have an issue, I'm just saying it's an extra tool that we can use to monitor what goes on here and keep things safe for employees. And we have a lot of valuable things in the city.
Sure.
It's just another way to keep track of those things.
It would help to monitor the rentals also,
Yes.
because we do rent out the top floor here, we do rent out the pavilion, the parks, you know, and people need to get into the bathrooms when they're using those facilities. So with this type of system, we can monitor that activity a little better than a key handing out, getting a key back and all that stuff.
It'll make our facilities more accessible for the people. Typically, the pavilion at Jubilee Park the bathrooms are never open unless there's a ball game or somebody has rented it out and they have access to the key. We could do a time lock system there, and we could have it open during regular business hours, somebody can go check on it from time to time, and we can utilize our facilities a little better. It'll give us a little more freedom too. They're always pushing security and safety with water and sewer stuff. We have a fob access out at the water treatment plant, but it doesn't work anymore. It's old and outdated. It was originally installed when the building was built. It's there. They would just have to upgrade it. So that's kind of where we're at with this. Because like I said, we've got $43,000 to spend. I got one quote for $80,000, another quote for $50,000, but that one requires $406 a month fees for maintenance and for the online access. And then the third quote, $73,250. So that's like double what we have budgeted to spend. So cost versus benefit is no longer there for us.
Discussion, council, what are your thoughts?
Help me understand, excuse me, Kevin, the one that looked advantageous has got a $406 a month fee on top of the base, 47 or 48,000.
Yeah, so they have to come out, they gotta do all the install with all the hardware and everything, and then they're able to connect all that hardware to an internet access system, and then we have to pay monthly fees to keep it active. And if we choose not to pay the monthly fees, then everything shuts off and we don't have access to it anymore.
Okay, so we add that up, it's close to the,
Yeah.
way over. Thank you.
And then those costs will be reoccurring. We have to budget for those year after year after year, where maintenance on a regular system, like a closed loop system, would be on us, and we could choose to do that when it's feasible,
Right.
you know, schedule it and that kind of thing.
Understand, I'm just trying to understand the huge disparity on the
Yeah.
surface between among the three.
Sure.
Do we have, outside of that, and it's monthly fee, but on the other systems, do we have the infrastructure to, like IT or anything to
They would
troubleshoot, or
They
is
would
that?
work with us, or we'd have some sort of maintenance agreement with them to come out as needed. I don't think there would be a cost unless there was service required.
Okay,
So they would just do service calls, and they would bill us X amount for call out, X amount for whatever was wrong, and then we would just pay the bill, kind of like we do with all of our other systems,
okay.
so. So I guess what I'm asking from council is, do you think we should take the mayor's approach, wait 3 months, do it again? Should we solicit new bids right away with different companies, or should we piece this out and spend what we can and do part of the project?
What part did you want to do?
I have to figure out what we can do with the money that we have.
Right.
I gotta look through each quote and figure out which would be get us the most
Yeah,
amount of it done
right.
for the money that we have, and then figure out what the priorities are. I think City Hall is number one on the list. There's a lot of people coming and going here. Public has access at times when no one's here. We could see where those cards were scanned, you know, only give them access to certain doors. I think it'll make life a little easier to operate this building. The new pavilion, it makes sense to do that one. The girls before would have to go out, the office staff would go out, unlock the building during business hours and lock it up at the end of the day, so somebody has to go out, maintain that, check on things. It'd be easier if it was just automatic. They're
Right,
open
yes.
during normal business hours, and it doesn't require someone stopping in there to do that. I'm not saying it's a big job, I'm just saying it takes time and effort for people to do that.
Sure.
And it could be automatic.
So the cameras in itself, when you look at these quotes, is there a particular, what are we looking for? We definitely want clear images, you know. I mean, is there one way or the other that you know what type would be best?
We have a guy that maintains our current camera system. He works for the schools. His name is Zach. Kyle knows him pretty well. We could inquire with him what we should be looking for and kind of set like a base standard for that type of thing. I'm not an expert on this stuff at all. I'm going to go with recommendations of people that know how to do this stuff.
Right, and for, even for in the evening, to be able to see.
Right.
You know, I know, I see the system that we have right now, and it's nice, but to really get it clear, like, who is that to zoom it in a little bit.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, the recording of these, like how long will it stay? How long do we have access to the recordings? How long will it be?
Right, our
saved?
system right now is not, it's not fantastic.
Yeah.
It works, but we can only store things for about 48 hours and then
Okay.
it records over and it goes away.
Okay.
So we have like a basic
Yeah.
setup right now.
Mhm.
It was just, there was a need and they got something in here.
Yeah.
And we haven't spent a whole lot of overhead on the cameras that we have now. So the guy at the school, Zach, he's been helping us out with that,
Awesome.
using extra parts or just stuff, you know, so.
Well, I think also the water treatment plant needs some definite protection out there.
We have an automatic gate that
Yep.
push button opens and closes, but having some sort of card access, some cameras is all recommended by Homeland Security and other security agencies. Ever since 9/11, they've really been pushing for that type of thing. You're blind when you're in there too. And if somebody wanted to do something bad, they could blindside you walking out of the door and you wouldn't know. Because there's no cameras facing the door or looking to see if there's anybody out there waiting for you or anything like that. So
Right.
that's just one of my concerns. I'm not saying it's gonna happen here in Perry, but I'm saying you gotta be careful, no, it doesn't matter what you're doing.
Yes, crazy people are everywhere. You know,
Totally agree.
yeah. Do we know if there's any insurance premium benefit to upgrading our system? Have we checked into
I
that
don't
at all?
think we've inquired about that with our insurance company.
Just to know, yeah.
Sure.
Might be part of what we can look into.
I would like to think we'd like to understand, you know, what kind of cushion we've got in terms of time, because as long as it took, and all the work that Megan and others did to get the grant, I certainly don't want to lose the window of opportunity, so at least we ought to know, is it the end of '24, do we have into '25, and then maybe take a deeper dive at how could we segment it, because I don't think that even waiting 3 months that we're going to go out to a new set of people and get quotes at half the
Oh,
cost
yeah,
that we have today,
definitely.
that all of a sudden magically need it, so.
We'd probably really need a year or two to see any difference in
Have any
the,
significance if then, and by then I suspect we probably would lose out on the grant opportunity.
yeah. Well, we could do two things. Megan could check on that for our next meeting, report back how long we do have. Shirley could maybe give a call to the insurance company and just ask them if there's any premium benefit to this. And then maybe Kevin could do some investigation in what we have for estimates as to what we could accomplish, how much could we accomplish with these estimates? What could we do?
Yeah.
And if we could get that back at our next meeting, if that's possible to get it done, if not, certainly the meeting after that, so that we could decide at that time. Is there anything else that we'd want reported
No.
in there? Okay,
Okay.
that work? All right,
And
thank you, Kevin.
I'm going to exit.
You may.
Good evening.
Thank you for
Thanks, Kevin.
coming.
Thanks, Kevin.
So we'll log that on the agenda for next time with those updates. So now we're going to turn the meeting over to Larry again for ordinance activity.
There's no first readings this evening. We're going to springboard off from what we covered last time. And just as a little bit of a refresher as we go through, the first one we're going to look at is the definition under accessory buildings and things. Fundamentally, if you recall, we added the idea that sheds would be considered an accessory building in terms of all of our zoning requirements. And to that end, unless anybody's got any questions, I'm going to go ahead and make the first motion here. I move that zoning ordinance amendment number 390, chapter 2, section 2.02 and section 2.20 definitions, A, accessory building structure and uses, and section 2.20 definition, S, sheds, which was read at the December 7th, 2023 regular council meeting, be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion from Larry, seconded by Bob. I think that was Bob.
Mike said it first.
Mike, okay, Mike. All
Photo
right.
finish.
Ron finish.
Motion from Larry, seconded by Mike. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Okay, the next one that we discussed last time, once again concerning accessory buildings, and fundamentally I think we were in concurrence with the idea of the revisions that we had proposed, and there was one topic that did come up, I believe you raised it last time, Bob, was around that anyone might consider a variance to a temporary storage facility, and we had to have that reviewed by the Zoning Board of Appeals based on Michigan state law, that we had something talking about the speed with which the zoning board would approve it, and I proposed to Shirley that we had a line that was Zoning Board of Appeals is required to conduct an expedient review of any variance request to section 3.14B to try to address that concern. Anybody have anything else relative to that one? If not, I move that zoning ordinance amendment number 391, chapter 3, section 3.14, accessory building structures and uses, which was read at the December 7th, 2023 regular council meeting, be adopted.
Second.
Jake, was that you?
Yeah, I'll take it.
Okay, motion from Larry, seconded by Jake. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Okay, the next one that we once again talked about last time was a minor change concerning zoning compliance permits, and basically the change that we had reviewed last time. There was previously a line in the ordinance that said that a zoning compliance permit was not required if the building was under 100 square feet. We had read and recommended that size definition be removed, and that all accessory buildings required a zoning compliance permit. Anybody have any comments or questions relative to that one? If not, I move that zoning ordinance amendment number 392, chapter 17, section 17.02, zoning administrator's duties and zoning compliance permits, which was read at the December 7th, 2023 regular council meeting, be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion from Larry, seconded by Keena. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Okay, moving on to the next one, deals with driveways and off-street parking and sidewalk activity. And that one, primarily, we did a couple of things. We added a section as a result of our zoning administrator and ordinance enforcement officer had some requests to better define what the city expected in terms of a driveway and off-street parking. There was a section that was added that we talked about last time. There were a couple of suggestions that had been implemented. One is where we talked about a driveway being made of concrete or asphalt of a permanent nature, and it was suggested that we add brick pavers to that example, which we have done in the revision, and also that under the area of some permanent landscaping or edging activity, suggestion was made to add a specification that lawn pavers would be considered an acceptable permanent marking as well. That has also been implemented. And then the last portion, under the ADA compliance activity, we had specified that black cast iron or black composite material being acceptable, and we've struck that color designation and allow any color cast iron or composite ADA compliant material. With those changes that we talked about last time, are there any other comments or questions? I move that zoning ordinance amendment number 393, chapter 3, section 3.34, driveways, off-street parking and sidewalks, which was read at the December 7th, 2023 regular council meeting, be placed on.
That's not what we want.
Oh, whoops.
Be accepted.
Oh,
Adopted.
the agenda, yeah. I
Second.
apologize.
Second.
So we have a motion for adoption by Larry, seconded by Mike. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you, and thank you, Ordinance Committee, for all your work. I think we're kind of getting caught up, aren't we?
We're caught up and under the process of scheduling a meeting in the new year. We have a few, certainly it's slowed down. We do have a few things that have come up that we need to review as a committee. It may not result in any changes, but it's time that we call the group together, which will happen in the new year.
Okay, very good. Is there any other business that may come before council this evening? Is there anyone from the public that chooses to speak at this time? Any council discussion or observations regarding any matter? Agenda items for the next meeting would include the things we discussed about the estimates for the security upgrades. Anything else that needs to go on the agenda?
I don't know if this is valid or the proper way, but, you know, one of the things I'm big on is the beautification and gardening and stuff downtown. And I know next year is gonna come quick, 2 meetings a month, so I didn't know if the next meeting being in January would be a good time to bring that to light. If there's room to start a committee to, clean up downtown. I think there was like some general fund or dollar amount that was in the budget last year. So
I think
didn't
we
know.
have had money budgeted for the 4 planters that we have on the corners,
Yeah,
but that's all that I'm
The
aware
camera
of.
shop that was helping out with that?
yep.
Well, yeah, and we had some other people at one time, but that committee kind of fell apart.
Well, I was understanding that maybe an establishment in town was gonna possibly oversee those planters.
Well, the candle shop person was for a while, but again,
I
Maybe
don't
do you
really
know
wanna
about
say,
somebody
but
else?
like, I don't really wanna bring it out if they're not gonna do it, but, I was just overhearing that maybe, the landscape company was gonna take it over, possibly.
What were you thinking, Jacob?
Well, I myself would volunteer my time, but I also know other community members, neighborhood friends that would be willing to also. So I didn't know if it was something, being on the Parks Committee, if I could solicit volunteers and try to make that fund or reduced amount or what have you go a little further.
The DPW handles that with the candle store. So I think probably Kevin would be the person you'd want to talk to about that to
Okay.
begin with and see how he wants to handle it. I mean,
Okay.
you know what I mean, to move forward, so.
we can certainly put it on the agenda for the next meeting to discuss downtown beautification. See what your thoughts are. Kevin will be here for that meeting because it'll be the first meeting of the month.
Sure.
And maybe we could at that point create a committee to work with Kevin and the DPW because for years they have been the ones to coordinate that with the group that was doing
Yeah, I would be
the
happy to.
work down on the corners.
Yeah,
So,
take oversight
yeah.
from Kevin, that would be no problem, so I'll definitely talk to him.
yeah, well, we'll talk about it next time at the meeting
Okay.
and see what we can do. Anything else to go on the agenda? Then I'll wish you all a Merry Christmas, and this
Merry
meeting's
Christmas.
adjourned at 8:16.
Merry Christmas.
Great and safe holiday, everyone.
Yes.
See you all next year.